Okay. Okay. Masechta Makos daf Chaf Amud Aleph. We're starting from 3 lines in the bottom. You test them at base. Hustler. Meisvei. Fragt die Gemara Akasha from Abaraisa. It says that Yoisi Eina Koyin shall also be Yodei Teina shall Tavel. A Koyin that had a date, which was a date that Tavel main. What do you mean Shalsa? He happened to have it. And it was before Mises and Trumas and Mises were taken off. And if Trumas and Mises were not taken off, it's Tevel. That's what makes it Tevel. So what did he do? He had to designate from this Taina, he wanted to make it right to eat. He wanted to eat it. So Omar gesagt, he said like this, Taina zu Tumasa be'uksa. The Tuma will be at the tail, meaning at its stem. Ma'aser Rishain be'tzveina. Give him in our cup of Esher. Ma'aser Rishain be'tzveina. The Ma'aser Rishain is on the northern part of the Taina. Ma'aser Sheni Lidreina is on the southern part. And now the Hishnas Ma'aser Sheni. It's the year of Ma'aser Sheni. Ma'aser Sheni is the 3rd year and the 6th. I'm sorry, 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th. The 3rd and the 6th is Ma'aser Ani. He's talking about the 2nd year. It's the year of Ma'aser Sheni, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and 5th. Well, who be Yerushalayim? Ma'aser Sheni could only eat in Yerushalayim, and he was in Yerushalayim. That's where you could eat the Ma'aser Sheni. Or Ma'aser Ani. Or it was Ma'aser Ani. It was in the year of the 3rd or the 6th year. But who be Gvulin? Ma'aser Ani doesn't have to be eaten in Yerushalayim. It can be eaten any place. That's why he's saying he will be Gvulin. He's outside of Yerushalayim. Nevertheless, he didn't take off Trumas Ma'aser. There's one thing that was missing. He took off Truma. If you see, he says the Truma should be at the tail. The Ma'aser Rishain should be Betzveina. The Ma'aser Sheni should be Bedremo. The Ma'aser Ani. But he never mentioned about the Trumas Ma'aser.
That's the lady's job.
That's the lady's job. But nevertheless, it's part of this Teina. So it's still in the gather of Tevel. Achola.
So he leave
So-
the last night.
No, it doesn't work that way. Achola, if he ate it and he didn't take off the Ma'aser Rishain, Hatus Adim from Tevel, like and he gets Malchus. So he says over here that since being that there was Ma'aser Rishain, the Truma from Ma'aser Rishain was not taken off, so he's going to get Malchus because it still has the gather of Tevel. And he's over for eating Tevel. Here we brought down a case, Rabbi Light. There was a Kohen that found had a Taina, which Maiso hasn't been taken off. So he decided he wants to eat it, so he wants to take off the Trumas and the Maises.
Yeah.
Says the Trumas should be chal on the tail and on the where the stem is, and the Ma'aser Rishain should be on the northern part of the Taina. As long as you designate it,
You can eat the rest.
So but the problem was he did the Ma'aser Sheni, but he was missing one thing. The Trumas Ma'aser Rishain, which goes to a lady, has to be Truma. As long as that prat is missing, it's still Tevel. And the guy ate it, the Kohen ate it, I shouldn't say the guy, the Kohen ate it, and he gets Malchus. Says he bought, and if it was a Zosh Achla, like the Stein, he gets the double Malchus, one for eating Tevel, and the second one, for the Truma. He's not allowed to eat the Truma.
He's getting, the Kohen's getting Malchus the Tevel.
This is a
Yes,
This is a
he's good, but the Zor is getting for eating
It's a
Truma.
plain kid. I can't have it.
Yeah. She'ilu b'tchila achla, sagt the Gemara, if the Chazar would have eaten it before designating Ma'aser Rishain, Ma'aser Sheni, and so then in that case, ain't it like Elachas. Then he only gets Malchus for being Tevel.
Later.
Sagt the Gemara, time, the whole reason why he gets only to the East of Yerushalayim, because he's in Yerushalayim. Ha big Vulin. But what if he would have been outside of Yerushalayim? Like Heshalish, he would have gotten 3. Because there's Ma'aser Sheni, and Ma'aser Sheni has to be eaten in Yerushalayim. Yeah. Go further. Afagav, says Afagav, the love Reif Nechima, even though it never entered Yerushalayim. So if it never entered Yerushalayim, so the question is, he shouldn't get Malchus. Yesterday we learned that the only time when it falls, the chalois of Ma'aser Sheni is chal on it, is only if it entered into the walls of Yerushalayim.
Till then it's considered.
Till then, you're not over. It's still it's like Tevel, but it's not Ma'aser Sheni. So it doesn't have to get a Maisa Sheni. So why is it us to eat? Why is it us to eat a big bullet? Why should you get Malkus? We just said he's going to get a third set of Malkus based on this that he didn't eat in Yerushalayim. Why? It never entered Yerushalayim. And if you want to know, that's not the case. The case is the Eile Yavki that it entered in Yerushalayim, the Taina, and then they pulled it out. So the Chalois of Maisa Sheni was Chal, and now it's outside. Why not? You come in with fruits. He went into Yerushalayim, 1 foot in. Never sang the song. They have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and round about. You remember that song? He went 1 foot in. He took everything inside, and then went 1 foot out. No, 1 foot. I meant the whole. He went all out. I'm just saying.
He jumped in with 2 feet.
Yeah, and he went out. Okay. He says he brought it in and he brought it out. Now the Chalois of Maisa Sheni was Chal. And now he's eating it outside Yerushalayim. He's going to be chayiv for not eating it inside the Chema of Yerushalayim.
So you're going to be Hachayiv what?
A third set of Malkus, yeah. In fact, if that's the case, what's the Chiddush? If the Chalois of Maisa Sheni was Chal and he eats out Yerushalayim, there's no Chiddush. And the Gemara, yeah. You're on your test Amid Beis, that's good, but here. Over here we're talking about that that he never separated the Maisa Sheni. When he brought in the Peta, he didn't separate anything. It was all Tevel. And then he brought it out and then he separated. That's Lichidish. It was never, there wasn't a part that you said, oh, this is the part of Maisa Sheni that I separated and I brought it into Yerushalayim, so the Kedusha of Maisa Sheni should be Chalana. He never separated.
How can it be Chalois if it never came in as Maisa Sheni?
So he's coming to tell us. Even Matanis, he means mice, it's two mice. Even though you didn't separate it. That's not exactly, but over here he says Matanis that weren't it's as if it was separated. And even though he never separated, we're going to consider it as he separated, and the Chalois of Maisa Sheni was Chal. That's the Chiddush. Does Rabbi Yossi take a hold Matanis Le'ume Kimisha Dami? Does Rabbi Yossi hold Matanis, meaning the Maisas or the Tumis, that he didn't separate them, will have a din like as if it was separated? But now we learned in the Mishnah, the negates that Hakanas Hacham Maisa Sheni that entered Yerushalayim, and it came out that he's mechuyev to eat it in Yerushalayim. Rav Shimon ben Yehuda Imam Shimon Rabbi Yossi like Nachlichu Beisham Beisil Al Peres Shalei Nikmer Melachtam the Avir Yerushalayim. That he says that Beisham Beisil were not arguing about Peres that were not, the Malacha was not finished. What does it mean that the Malacha was not finished? So you have a din by the produce of Eretz Yisrael, of produce, that the halacha is that when is the Malacha considered as finished? Like you take by wheat, by tefillah, if there was miruach. Miruach means that you smoothen out the threshing of the floor, then you put it in a pile and you smoothen out the pile. That's when the malacha was finished. So over there it says that you can still redeem the Maisa Sheni Shalem Yach B'Kol Makim. You still can redeem it, and you can eat it anywhere, even though it entered your Shalayim. Okay, so V'Aman Nachleku. The Mishnah brings down that if the Maisa Sheni entered Yerushalayim and then he took it out, that he has to bring it back to Yerushalayim to eat it. It's chal, right? So, but you cannot redeem it. So Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda said that there's a machlekes between Beisham and Beis Hillel about Peres that the malacha was not finished, meaning there wasn't miruach like I gave you the case of Tzvua, and then it went out of Yerushalayim. The malacha wasn't finished. They brought it outside Yerushalayim, and they finished the malacha outside Yerushalayim, and he took off Tumas and Maisis. So the Gemara says that he could still redeem the Maisis Sheni and eat it in any place because he redeemed even though it entered Yerushalayim, right? But the malacha was not finished, and he brought it outside Yerushalayim, and then finished the malacha. Then he could redeem it over there. Yerushalayim was already, once entered Yerushalayim, the Chalaisa, it was Chal, you cannot redeem it anymore. He says you could because it was before Nigmar Malachtam. Ba'aman nechleku. So what are they arguing? On Peres Shekva Nigmar Malachtam. On Peres that the Malacha had been already completed, but they didn't designate what's Truma, what's Maisis. That's what the other Yerushalayim. It went into Yerushalayim and it went out from Yerushalayim. And only after that, he designated which is the Trumas and the Maises. If they left Yerushalayim. But it was after the Malacha. The Malacha was finished. He did the Meruach. He just didn't separate it. The Shem Tevel was already Chal. When does the Shem Tevel? When do you become obligated in the Trumas and Maises? When there's Meruach. When there's the smoothening of the pile. So the Gemara says Shabbai Shammai over there it's talking about after the Malacha was finished, but he didn't separate them. Came out of Yerushalayim outside. So Beishamai says Yachze Ma'aseh Sheni Shalahem Yochel Yerushalayim. He has to bring it back to Yerushalayim and eat it there. Beis Hillel, your partner Beis Hillel says you can still redeem it. The Yochel B'chol Makom he can eat it anywhere, even though it went into Yerushalayim. Then he took it back and he took it back out and he separated outside Yerushalayim. It still can be paid. Now, if it has a din, paid. But if you're going to say once it entered Yerushalayim, even though he didn't separate it, it's as if it was separated.
What does Beis Hillel say? You can be paid.
You can be paid. And we know you can be paid something once it entered Yerushalayim. Once there was a chalais of Ma'aseh Sheni, you cannot redeem it. You have to eat it in Yerushalayim. Beis Hillel says, no, you could redeem it. He could eat it anywhere. He took it out of Yerushalayim. He doesn't have to bring it back to Yerushalayim. He redeemed it. He didn't separate it while he was in Yerushalayim. Then he took it out. So Beis Hillel said, hey, he didn't separate the Ma'aseh Sheni. It still doesn't have a din as Ma'aseh Sheni. I can still redeem it and eat it. I don't have to bring it back to Yerushalayim and say, the Kedusha was Chal while it was in Yerushalayim. I can redeem it and eat it anywhere.
Because he didn't designate it.
Right. So here we have a stira, and we know nobody. Rabbi Yossi wouldn't pass him like Beis Shammai. He would pass him like Beis Hillel. In fact, the Shaila Kaltur Mechitzos, we just finished that the Ma'aseh Sheni. If it's as if it was. We said Matonish Shaloi Humu is Kimi Shehormu. So we should say that the Mechitzos were Keltis. The Mechitzos of Yerushalayim it has the Kedusha Ma'aseh Sheni. He should be able to eat in even though it was he should have to be able. He should have to eat in Yerushalayim and not be able to redeem it. Amarabba mechitzas lechel deharaisa. When it comes to achila, the halacha is once it enters Yerushalayim, that's a din deharaisa. You cannot eat it outside Yerushalayim. That's a din deharaisa. Mechitza likloit, the din that comes to Yerushalayim, that the kedusha that enters Yerushalayim b'negei to pidyon to redeeming, that's a din deharabanan. That you cannot if you took it out again, that you cannot redeem it. That's only mid'Rabbanan. We're talking about if he designated Ma'aseh Sheni and then took it out. This that we say you cannot redeem it outside Yerushalayim. That's only a Yisrael Rabbanan. The achila has to be eaten in Yerushalayim. Once it enters Yerushalayim and you take it out, you can't say, it's outside Yerushalayim, I can eat it. No, you have to bring it back into Yerushalayim and eat it. But again, to redeeming outside Yerushalayim, that's only a Yisrael Rabbanan. So he says, "V'chi gozer Rabbanan." When would they gozer b'negei to redeeming? That it's going to be also once it enters Yerushalayim ki isa b'einai. Only when he's actually separated the Ma'aseh Sheni, and then it takes it out. Then we say that's the only time he cannot redeem it. But if it was before it was Tevel, before he separated as Ma'aseh Sheni, lo goes Rabbanan. Rabbanan are not going to say, it's Shenyahat Adin from Ma'aseh Sheni, and we're going to apply the Isa Rabbanan if you take it outside of the walls of Yerushalayim, that you can't redeem it. That's not true. It's not true. It's only Isa Rabbanan. You're not going to make a Gzir on Isa Rabbanan. You're right. That's B'negei Achila, that you have to go and eat it dafka in Yerushalayim. But B'negei to redeeming, we're not going to make the Gzera.
This Tevel has a designation of Sai Hases that it's Tevel, and Sai
It's Ma'aseh Sheni. B'negei Achila, very good. You said it well. B'negei Achila has the Isa of Ma'aseh Sheni. Yeah, it was B'negei to redeeming. It doesn't. Havina gives a different teretz. He learns the pshat. There's no chilik between achila and redeeming. Okay, going to naket le bekanya, and it's talking about when he entered the Yerushalayim, the Pedis didn't enter. He was with a long stick or a tractor trailer today's days, and the trailer's out and the truck is in. The driver's inside the chaymas of Yerushalayim, but the trailer's outside, or he's there. In the old-fashioned ways, they had a long stick. The Pedis was at the end of the stick, and he entered So the chiddush was that he wants to tell you that it has a thing like inside the Chaim of Yerushalayim, even though the peiros are outside Yerushalayim, being that the stick is on his plates, on his shoulders. It's like it's inside Yerushalayim, and he has to eat in Yerushalayim. Tisha by the Rapapa. Rapapa had a shaila on the previous blot. He had a shaila on the previous blot if it has a din like Yerushalayim or not. Okay, we're going to start a new Mishnah. Somebody who rips out the hair from his head for the tsar of a mace. It says, you shouldn't make a bald spot in the area between the eyes and on your head. Sagt die Gemara bei Makos. Sagt die Mishnah HaKareach Karch Bereisha, somebody who makes bald spots on the head for the tzava mace. He shouldn't make a bald spot in the part of the head connected again in the area between the eyes. And somebody who shaves around pas reishay, he takes by the temple. You see over here the temple by the payas. He goes to till on top of the ear. You're not allowed to shave that off. It's very, and that's not the Isa Heinz mentioned golden the cup. It's Anaya mother. You see it in Karaites, a lot of people. So they mean because you're not using a razor. It's not true. There, even without even regular, you're not allowed to cut it off. There's a Isa.
I understand
So,
that.
so he says. So if he
You have to go cut somewhere else, or I'm just hit.
all
That time anyway.
that he cuts the hair by the temple all around, and he makes in that area, which you're not allowed to go.
Impossible.
So it says Loisa Kifa B'Asesham. It says you shouldn't get rid of the pace and make it round over there. Mashkis, and somebody who destroys Pa'as Zikani. Now we're talking about the Zakin. The zaken you have over here at the end, at the top of the jaw, and you have over here. The bottom, 3 places, really, at the bottom of the jaw. This is part of the beard. So those 3 places, if somebody destroys it there, it's not with a razor. No, it's a iser. Schlecht wohl Saschis. Wir tun nicht nutzen. This, man hat nicht wegen Asherol. Like a razor, but it's maschis. A razor, you're not allowed to do it. But I saw it, and somebody who with his nails he rips his skin, and he does it for a mace, sita achas, even one scratch, let's say al a mace because of a mace. It says in the Torah, we said it with nefesh leisitin with starchem. You're not allowed. Chai for them is a chai. For this he's chai malchus. Says misha sadat sita achas al chamisha mason oy chamish sita al mace echad chai va kolachas ve'achas. Somebody who made a wound, and he made like a big deep scratch for 5 mason, or the reverse, 5 scratches for 1 mace, he's going to be chai for each and every one. Could you imagine? You could be chai for Malchus for 1 million Yidden, for 6 million Yidden. If Einer macht a shrita he makes a scratch for the 6 million Jews that passed away. He's going to be chai for how many Malchus? I don't know. It says if he scratched, but he had in mind for 5 different Mason. He's chai 5 different sets of Malchus. Here it says Sorat Sita Achas Al Chamisha Mason. He's chai for each and every one Malchus. Could you imagine he did it for
1 times 5.
the show up for the what?
He's doing it 5
He has to say for which maze.
No, he did it once for all 5. He had a mind for 5. Okay, anyway, I'm just
5 individuals. You just can't say 5 to 6 million people.
why he says for
You
all
don't
of
know
them.
who they are, who you're doing it for.
Who says that it has to be? I'm
Well,
saying.
why is
You have to
it
find-
why is it California? Every morning we light up a whole tray with candles
For the Shah, yeah. For the people that died in the Belzbacham. Okay, anyway, sagt die Gemara Chai kol achas ve'achas. Good. Al haroish, for somebody who gets rid of the payas, the 2 sides of the payas, but with 1 hasra, that he's still going to be chai, even though he did it in 1 shot. He's going to be chai 2 sets of malchus. If you had the side, achas 1 for cutting the payas mikam from this side of the face. Achas mikan and 1 for the other side of the face. al hazokin. For now, the hazokin with the isa is hashchasa. They use a razor. For them is a chaya shtayim, 2 malkis
For
for
each one.
he's chai. Oh, so he says yes. Here, mikan ushtayim mikan for two for both sides. And achas milamata, you have here at the end of the jaw, and you have here. So it's 5 altogether. So he's going to be chai for 5. In nitlu kulam kachas, if he was mashchis, all the payas of the beard, all the corners of the beard, and a chayv ala malchus achas. If it was one asor and he did it all one shot, he's going to be chayv only one. And by the beard, he's not chayv unless he uses adav hashchasa, like a razor. Rabbi Lezer argues, even if he used the tweezer to pull out the beard, or hitni, or the plane was for them to shave off the holes, didn't small to get rid of little pieces. So it's a handle with a at the end there's a little of a razor, and you take off pieces. So he did that to his beard like this. He says even though it's not a hidden from Ashchasa, nevertheless he's going to be chayiv. According to Rabbi Lezer. Yeah, okay. Like the Gemara, tell you Rabbanim Geland. Steht lo yikrechu, and then after it says korcha, it says the word korcha. It comes to tell us, Yochel, I would have thought afilu korach ave v'chamish krichas lo yehi chayv alachas. I would have thought even if he did 5 bald spots, 4 or 5 bald spots, he would only be chayv 1. Talmud Lema comes the pasuk and says the extra word korcha. It says lo yikrechu, and then it says korcha. This yitu, this extra word comes to tell you lechayiv akol korcha that he's going to be chayv for each and every one of the bald spots that he made. It says Bereshim. What do you have to say Bereshim? And the Gemara if Hishanama, because it says Lois is going to do. Here, Lois is going to do doesn't mean groups or it means don't make a chabura in your basa. You shouldn't make a wound. Nor should you make a bald spots between in the place between the eyes for a mace.
Get the hell out of here. Get away from here.
Yachel, I would have thought Lo yehi chayev ella al bein ha'naim babad. I would have thought that he's meaning the one that makes the bald spot shouldn't be chayev malchus only in the area that's bein ha'naim on the head. So you go like this. I would have thought only in the center of the head. That's where Menayim l'Rabbi is kol harish. How do we know in any part of the head that he's going to be chayev for? Talmud Lema Beresham comes the extra word Beresham tells any part of the head. L'Rabbi is kol harish. It comes to include all over the head. Mainly, and still we didn't learn from here that it's also only by kahanim, and by kahanim if that's where because only by them it says the word Beresham. Right? So, and we know Sheriba Behem HaKos Mitzvahs, you say this. By Kahanim is Mechamo, the Torah, Marvi gave them more mitzvahs, the Torah did more mitzvahs, gave more mitzvahs for a Kain over Yisrael. So I would have thought the minig is Nishtazei by regular Yisrael. But now, so from where do we know? That he's going to be chayiv for the bald spot anywhere on the head, even by a Yisrael. After the Gemara, Namekan Korcha. It says by Benegay to Yisrael, it says Veloisa Simu Korcha. Whenever Lahalan by the Kahanim, it also says Lo Yikchu Korcha. It says also the word Korcha. Ma Lahalan, just like by the Kahanim, Chayv Akol Korcha VeKorcha, you chayv for each and every bald spot, and VeChayv Al Harish, and you chayv anywhere on the head. And I'll have a din Kimbein Anayim, just like the area in the center of the head. Yes, so he says because originally it said Bein Anayim, so then it says Bereshim to tell you anywhere in the head it has a din like Bein Anayim. Avkan Chayv al Kol Karcha, so too by Yisrael he's Chayv for every bald spot, Chayv al Arish, and anywhere on the head Bein Anayim, like in the center of the head.
What's it good of korcha? Korcha means
a bald spot.
I know, but
in the olden times, they had these kinds of sam that you take a cream and you put it on the head, and the hair would never grow back. Says the Gemara.
You do it with a wooden piece of wood.
No, but they had us. Oh, you mean right? Yeah, with a kind of a cream. It's even a poison that you smear.
The poison used to go down with a razor, that with a piece of wood.
Oh, listen.
Yeah, that's what they should do.
Here he says it was a sam.
Before your time.
Okay, Zog the Gemara, and we also learn now from the Gezeidah Shabbat, Malahalan, just like by Yisrael, the Torah didn't ask only if it's al hameis, afkan al hameis. So too by a kohen, the bald spotting, the balding that you make in your head, you're only going to be chayiv if you're doing it because of the tzad that one has for a mace, for somebody who passed away. Zog the Gemara, hani arba v'chamesh kiches. These 4 or 5 bald spots. Hey, Chidami, how's it talking about it? That you said he's gonna, if he did it b'vas achas, right? So says the Gemara, how's it possible? One asar and he did it b'vas achas. Ilema, you're gonna say b'zachas. He did one after another. He did it. I'm sorry. He's gonna be chai for each and every one. What's the case that he's going to be chai for each and every one? Elim was that he made one bald spot and another one, and he had chamish asayis. Before each bald spot, he got a warning. Pshita says, of course he's going to be chai for all 5. Says Allah, rather it's talking about b'chad asah. There was one warning
For everything.
for everything. In fact, one asah, could he, in such a case, could he then be chai? But none. We learned in the Mishnah, Nozir.
Based on a straw, he includes all the different
All the 5 spots that he made in his head. How could he be chai for all of them? But now we learned in the Mishnah, Nozir is not allowed to drink wine. Nozir shehoisa sheisi yain kol hayayin. A Nozir that was drinking wine all day. Says the Gemara, Ein chai v'lo malchus hachas. He's only going to be chai for one set of malchus.
Because he's not allowed to drink wine, don't you?
Right, and he gave him one warning, and he's drinking and haltman drinking. So they said to him, I'll teach. What's if they warned him every time? I'll teach. And then he takes a zip, and he drinks. Then he's going to be chai for each and every one.
They told him not to drink.
Yeah, every time they told. But it comes out that if they didn't warn him, they gave him one warning. He's only chai 1. Our Mishnah says for one warning he's chai all 5. Says the chamish etzba'isa benasa. What he did is he dipped 5 fingers into the sam, and then he put it on his head, and it became 5 bald spots in one shot. He just put his hand like that.
Wow.
So one asah is enough.
It's very creative.
No, that's the
So it's
case.
about each one.
For each one asah,
The
because
straw works for all.
all of that, because
One
it
shot.
was asah for each finger that he did, and it was all fingers together.
So he didn't have to do it.
Here he brings it down. I thought I saw it somewhere. Mikoma karei hisam v'shalei v'his hasam who tell us I'll call etzba me'etzba hisam.
The other finger.
The other finger, he did it one
10.
shot.
So go for 10, right? 5.
I can do
So what
that.
does he
No,
do when she gun and he kills all 5 people at one time?
no, it has to be
Leader,
one
straw,
one
each
shot. No, it's
He
one
took it
shot.
like this.
He took the cream and he put it on his head on one shot. So you better that was hasah for each and every finger. In fact, you might have become a shear koch. How much is the shear of balding? So that he should be able to see the scalp, the skin of the scalp.
It's so,
What?
It's so effective
Look,
in
You
your
mean on the forehead?
Yeah, no, and
the finger line.
a bald spot.
Like a ball spot.
Okay, kidei domination.
But you wouldn't see it because
Rabbi Yechon says, "Mishum Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shemin, kigris, like a bean." Zok the Gemara,
Like
yeah.
a diamond, like a
No.
dime.
that is too small.
No, gris is a bean.
The shear
No,
of
but-
a dime.
A candle, you know.
It could be this. Here, gris means a bean.
Bean.
Zok the Gemara, kama shir. He says ketanoi. It's we find tanoim who say the same thing. Kama shir kacha. Achenoim kidei sheiram reishei, so that you can see the scalp.
Okay.
Aben Rabbi Yehuda ben Rabbi Chaviva. Pligiba plus a tanoi. There's a machlokes of 3 tanoim in the shear of boldness. Chadoima kigris. One says like a bean. Mechadoima kidei sheira mereishei, so that you can see the bald spot on the head. Chadoima b'shtei siders like 2 hairs. There's others from the Amoraim that remove the shear of shtei siders from iron and they put in instead like a lentil. The Simonov Baheres today's Pasha in Chumash Baheres the Tzaras over there it says Kigris that a person who had seen in his flesh Tumas Tzaras Shiur Kigris, the shear is like a gris umichya. Umichya is a live, raw flesh that is also right. So he says the shiz the kadosh are like a lentil. So you see he doesn't mention shtei siders. Everybody agrees that we're not changing grease, because grease he mentions here, he uses grease, and then kadosha is the only one that we had exchanged before. And here he says kadosha. So you see, it was
smaller grease, bigger than grease.
which one?
Kadosha.
Dasha smaller is like a lentil, is very tiny. A beanish is a bigger. Zaki Maratana. We learned in the Braisa a lentil. Yeah. Zaki Maratana. We learned in the Braisa hanoitzel, somebody who removes the size from his guf, kimeloi pi hazug, like the tip of the scissor, which is on Shabbos. Chayiv is going to have to bring a carbon chatas because he was over on cutting on Shabbos. What is the shear of the tip of a scissor? Amar Rav Yehuda Shteim. Rav Yehuda says it's 2. In fact, we learned in the Braisa lekarcha, which is Shtayim. We learned the shear of the size that a person
Dark already.
that he balds himself for a maze, and his chayv malchus is Shtayim. Is how much? Is 2 years. In fact, so we see. In fact, the Gemara, Ema v'chei lekarcha. In fact, the Gemara it says the Gemara Ema say, what does it mean?
What?
That karcha. What does it mean? Karcha. There it says Shtayim, and before it says Zug. So the chayda that 2 separate shiurim. Says the Gemara Ema v'chei lekarcha. Say v'chei lekarcha meaning that the bald spot is the shura Shtayim, is 2 sides. So he says, so you see from here that here it says Shtayim. When it says Shtayim, beyachas lekarcha, the pish is the shear of Eloi Pi Hazug. Is the shear is the tip of the scissor.
$1.
Tanya Nami Hachi.
Very nice.
We learned from the Braisa similarly.
Thanks, everybody.
Tanya Nami Hachi. We learned from the Braisa similarly. Anoitel, somebody who cuts the hairs b'shoygikim like Pi Hazug b'Shabbos. He cuts the hairs like the tip of the scissor on Shabbos. Chayiv. He's chayiv a couple chatas. How much is the sear of the tip of the scissor? Shtayim 2. Rav Lezer says achas that even if he cut one hair, even though it didn't have the shear of maloi piazug, he's going to be chayiv a couple chatas. So the Gemara umayt l'chacham l'Rav Lezer b'melakit. The chacham amoyda to Rav Lezer when he by melakit means by a tweezer. Which ones? But not lapdafka tweezer, but melakit levanis metoich hashcheres. When he takes out the white hair from the black, afilu achas. Even if he took out just one white hair from between the black hairs, he's going to be chayiv chatas. This is Shabbos. Because a person is makbid, that he doesn't want the white hair, he wants to look black, he wants to look young. You remember, there was 2 women that were married to a man, in the Gemara Seita, and one wanted that he should look young, and one wanted he should look so the younger one pulled out all the white hairs, and the older one pulled out all the black hairs. Is he believe me? Okay, so you want to Zeh. And this din of Afilu Bechel, he says even Bechel it's Aser. Why even in the weekdays is it Aser? Mishum Shanabi, because it says in the pasuk Lo Yumbash Geva Simlas Isha, that a man shouldn't beautify himself, make him clothe himself with the clothing of a Isha. This is like he's making himself like a Isha. We learned Hamakiv Pias Reishay. If he gets rid of the place on the I told him Makiv Pias Reishay, somebody removes the side by the temple, the hair. Tanur Rabbanim Pias Reishay, Seif Reishay means the end. What does it mean? Reiseo Seif Reishay. What does it mean? The end. Zeh Hamashvet Sedov. This is the person by the temples. He shaves over here. So. He can leave there, or a lot of people I said shave the whole head. Yeah, but over here, the main thing you have to leave the payas. So he leaves aznai, and he does it till over his ear. And he says also in the front by the metzach, he shaves the ear all around. So that's the case. Okay, Tana, we learned Amira who was bucking the brises. Kamei came and said before Rav Chizda, side the one that's cutting, and side the one who's getting his hair is being cut. They're both. Both of them are going to be chayv. Just because somebody who eats the dates that come out of a sieve, he did nothing. He's eating this leaf. Really, here he brings down that in the time when you'd sit by the barber and he would cut your hair, so the guy whose hair was being cut, he was eating dates. Because he ate dates, that's why he's going to get malchus. He did nothing. The one that cut the hair, the barber, should be chayiv. So if a person will ask you money, like who was this learned that the nikiv is going to be chayiv, the nikiv who did nothing is going to be chayiv malchus? Rabbi Yehuda follows the shita of Rabbi Yehuda. The Omer Rabbi Yehuda said, "Lav shein ma'aser, like a lav which doesn't have a ma'aser, from that he gets malchus." Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda said it before. We had it before.
Why does he have to laugh? He's not doing anything.
No, he's not allowed to allow that the payas should be cut off, and he's allowing the barber to do so.
Make sure you go to the right barber.
You have to have a barber who has a hechsher. You teach him if it's a guy. I don't know, but a yid, you got to teach him all the halachas. You have to be careful. I know in Eretz Yisrael there's a hechsherim and the different barbers you see all that. Yeah, it's fun. It's you learn the halachas. Okay, anyway, Rabbi says, but Makos la'atzmai. It's talking about that somebody who did it to himself. So he side the Makos side the nikiv. Okay. So he's. Yeah, but the reason why he's getting as a nikiv because he's the Makos too. The Dibur Hakel. Now it comes out according to everybody. Even according to one that says Lav Shein by Malchus, Lav Shein by Ma'aser, you don't get Malchus. But here he's going to get Malchus because he's the nikiv is the Makos. Ravashi Yoma b'Messiah helped us. I don't know if money is called helping, but he helps with his hair and he burns. If he burns it, makes it easier. Oh yeah, that's called helping. I don't know if money is the. You have to look it up.
He's always pushing your head.
But it's not the help that he's referring to that you would get malchus for. But and everybody agrees. Again, if he's helping, that it's a nick from the Makos, they both get malchus. Somebody who destroys the beard. That's here. That's by the chin in the middle. Where are we up to? Okay, so it says if somebody did a sita on a mess, he's chayav malchus. Even if he did it for 5 mason, he's gonna. If he did it for 5 mason, he's gonna be chayav for all 5. It says with a vav v'seret yochla afilu sorat al beis shenafal bal svinasei shetav bayam. I would have thought even if he made himself a wound because any tragedy, his house fell, his ship sunk. The nefesh is to teach us that only if it's for the mace itself. Yeah. For monetary tragedies, if you make yourself a wound, you're not going to be chayav malchus for it. Only for a mace. If somebody, God forbid, passed away, and that's why you make yourself a wound, that's where you get malchus for it. But how do we know? From where do we learn out that somebody who makes 5 marks or wounds on one mace, that he's going to be chai for each and every one. Talmud later, this said it. Here's the above comes to tell you the chai kol sita sita. He's going to be chai for each wound. Rabbi Yossi says, "When I am sita achas al chamisha mason, how do you know if he made one wound for 5 masons? That he's going to be chai for each and every one. Talmud later, la nefesh. La nefesh, la chai kol nefesh v'nefesh. He's going to be chai for everyone. No, so the problem is that's what the Gemara is asking. You just said la nefesh comes to teach us that you can only you only chai malchus if it's for a mace, but not for a ship or a house. So, and here you're saying it's coming to tell you that if he had in mind for 5 people, he's chai for each and every one. So it's what about Pikte Lebeise Shenafel or the Svinas Shtav the Yam that tells us that he's not going to be chai malchus for that. And the Gemara Kasavad Rabbi Yossi Shasitu Gvida. I think we learned that. We excluded. We used already the word lenefesh for a different limit. That could only be for a mace. Not to tell you that he's going to be chayav for each and every one if he had in mind with one sita. And the Gemara Rabbi Yossi says sita, the sita in the pasuk what it says we said it love nefesh loisit mivsarchem, and then ugedida it says loisigaydu lameis, which means don't make a wound for mace. Even though it says these 2 l'sheina sita and gedida achasi, it's one. both warning for one thing, that a person shouldn't make a warning. Uksiv Hasem and Bedegei to Gdida, the Torah already had explained, Lames, it means for a mace. So that from Gdida we already know for a mace. So Ladefa, she's coming to tell you that you're going to be chayiv for each and every, even though it's one sita, but he had in mind for 5 people, you're going to be chayiv for all 5.